in this rabbinic series, history series, we're going to explore within regards to the rabbinic dynasty of the Elishar family. There happen to be great rabbis in different places, different in Jewish history. They would not just serve as prominent rabbis, chief rabbis, respectively, a few of the great people. Also, there'd be public figures, famous activists. Now, the vast majority of opinion would actually hold it actually descended from Sefard, from Spain originally, that the family was actually from there. Now, there will be opinion, I wouldn't say minority opinion, but few historians are actually going to weigh in and say it could be that maybe the family, actually the genealogy, I think Rabbi Chaim Halevi Poloko would actually, he was writing a genealogy within regards to Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha. So he would come to the, let's say, conclusion that maybe the family actually descended from Vilna originally. Now, this is not the majority opinion. The vast majority of opinions, I believe, would actually hold the family rabbinic dynasty came from Spain itself. But how would he attribute this? I believe he would accord that Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha, first of all, was a chief rabbi of Israel between the years 1893 to 1906, one of the Rishon LeZion. So we're going to see he's not going to be the only chief rabbi of Israel from the Elisha family. But he would say that according to his Rabbi Polako's theory, that the grandfather of Rabbi Yaakov Elishar, I think, was the son of Rabbi Chaim Yerucham Vilna, was son of Rabbi Yaakov Vilna, the son of Rabbi Benjamin Ziv Vilna. Now, that's why there will be the name Elisha would come to him, because, let's just say, of this reason. And I think other writers might actually agree with this, including Aryeh Leib from Kinder, who was also another teacher and a researcher. Also, someone named Rabbi Moshe David Gaon, another Bosnian researcher, would see this. Now, the vast majority of opinions would oppose this, and I believe they would hold that he actually did come from Spain, including famous historians Avram Yari, who was a bibliographer, a researcher among Jewish history, Avram El Maleh, also another one. He was an Israeli journalist, a linguist, a researcher, historian, very much according to the Sephardi community. Yosef Rivlin. There was also Rabbi Yaakov Moshe Toledano, who was also a proper researcher and had a prominent rabbinic role in Tel Aviv Yafo. And most notably, Meir Ben-Yahu, another famous researcher of history, of Kabbalah and of Shabbat laws, a researcher with regards to Sephardic diaspora, who actually did a video on Meir Ben-Yahu before. They would hold that, no, this was not the case, and the family would have, I believe, they would actually hold the family did originate from Spain. They would use various different arguments on this, saying that the family's origin, let's say, was from Spain. They would actually say that there's proof within regards to writings, idioms, let's say, rhetoric, in various different scrolls, of a specific Persian scroll, which indicated that Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha was of Sephardic origin, first of all. They bring more evidence stating this, and states that Rabbi Yaakov Elisha was they refute the idea that Rabbi Yaakov Elisha, I think he lived between 1730 and 1790, was the son of Rabbi Chaim Yerucham Vilna. They'll say, no, this wasn't true. Because of different reasons. The signature of Rabbi Yaakov Elisha was in the Megillat Perez that was composed, indicated the father's name was Chaim Yosef and not Chaim Yerucham, so that couldn't have been the case. That was another proof. And they bring other proofs also, like with regards to historical documentation, with regards to Rabbi Chaim Yosef Elisha in his youth, that he was resident of Jerusalem and later lived in Hebron and was a Shluchei Rabbanan, a rabbinic emissary. And Meir Ben-Yahu will bring even more proof, I think, within regards to that, stating that the name bore Elishar many years before Rav Yaakov Vilna's arrival in Eretz Israel, and bring proofs within regards to that, within regards to a book that was printed in Amsterdam, I believe, at one stage in time, with quoting the name Rabbi Chaim Yosef. And this would actually be, he points out that there was also another proof that Ishar was the city of a place in Spain, and that's where the family origin actually came from. He would actually stay from, and they would arrive, I think, in the land of Israel after the expulsion from Spain. And this would be a period of time before Rabbi Yaakov Vilna lived there. Now, he will also bring in, I think, further proofs, if I'm not mistaken. I think someone named Yaakov Galis will actually make a pashara, will make an explanation why this mistake could be made, because it's a big, potentially a big mistake. How people could think he's from Vilna. They would actually hold that Rabbi Chaim Yosef Elisha, I believe, would get married to the daughter of Rabbi Yaakov Vilna. So very much so, if you go by this thought of Yaakov Gallis, who was also a historian, I think, wrote in his book this, that therefore that there would definitely be heritage from the Elisha family that would go on generations from Vilna itself, respectively. That will be actually an interesting thing, albeit the father line will actually have descended from Spain originally. So who are some of the great rabbis from, or people inside the family? It's actually interesting. There was, as we stated before, after Rav Yosef Elishar, or Elisha, you could say, there was someone of the name Avram Elishar. He would become also a famous person, and he was various different opinions within regards to him. I believe he passed away in the year 1710 in Hebron. He was a famous man of his time. Now, Rabbi Chaim Yosef Elishar, I think Avram Elisha would have a son, Rabbi Chaim Yosef Elisha, and he was the man that would get married, according to the opinions, to the daughter of Rabbi Yaakov Vilna, reported over. So this, according to one opinion. Now, he would, I think, famously, Rabbi Chaim Yosef Elisha would visit Amsterdam, I believe, in the year 1712. The great rabbi would, Hey Taf Ayin Daled, would visit Amsterdam and was Shochay de Rabbanan, their famous rabbinic emissary over there, taking on various roles, which we've spoken about before. I think together with Rabbi Abraham Yitzchaki, he would print a book over there of Rabbi Yaakov Tzemach, respectively. I think the book was actually named, if I'm not mistaken, the Nagid u'Mitzvah, and it was, I think there will be various signatures within regards to that. More things we can actually relate over with regards to Rabbi Chaim Yosef Elisha. He would go back to Jerusalem. The situation would be tough there. He'd move to Hebron, and many people will be living on one single yard over there. He was considered one of the great sages there. I think in 1730 he would go to Tripoli and to North Africa as a rabbinic emissary to Hebron, and I think from there he would go to Italy, I think probably around the year 1733, and will be very much connected to Verona over there. I think there will be different chronicles, let's say, written over there, and there'll be various different writings. I think there'll be actually a Rabbi Sapir that will actually write within regards to him at a later stage of time within regards to chronicles of the rabbis of Hebron. And Rabbi Aryeh Leib Frumkin, who we spoke about, one of the researchers, will actually write and cite the days of where he actually went, what actually happened at that point in time. So this was Rabbi Chaim Yosef Elisha, who we didn't actually speak about so much yet. Maybe we'll do a separate video if we can get enough information. Then there was a rabbi named Rabbi Yaakov Elisha, another great rabbi, would live between the years 1730 1790. He was the son of Rabbi Chaim Yosef, the great rabbi. So he would take on various different positions. He'll be another famous rabbi. Remember, we're talking about now, this is nearly about 300 years ago. He was born, Rabbi Yaakov Elisha. He would serve as a head of the Hebron community and was a friend of the Chidah, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Adzilei. He was born in Hebron in the year 1730, and as an adult he would go on various different Shochay de Rabbanan roles on behalf of the Hebron community. He would go to Basra in Iraq. I think it would be around the year 1775. Sadly, his wife passed away in Hebron, it's reported over. So he would have been about 45 years of age at that point in time, and he would get married, I think, to the daughter of the community president, and they would have two sons. It's reported over. He would go to Persia, I believe, for a point of time, and I think there was troubles, obviously, in Persia, respectively. The king of Persia, we see recording at this time when Israel's at war with Iran, so it's maybe appropriate to speak about it. He would take on penitences, fastings at that point in time, because there was various decrees put on the community in Persia, and he would write Megillat Perez, or also known as Megillat Esther, respectively, which we have to point about. His eldest son from his second wife was Rabbi Eliezer Yerucham, who reported over would become the father of Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha. So Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha, the author of the Yishat Bracha, would be his grandson. And he was born, I believe, Rabbi Eliezer Yerucham, I think in the year 1775. He would spend a long time in Basra and eventually moved to Damascus. And he would join his eldest son from his first wife over there. From Hebron, I think his name was Rabbi Chaim, if I'm not mistaken. They would move to Tzfat at one stage in time, I think come out 1781, and he was one of the great leaders of the Tzfat community at that point in time. And he would, so that's very interesting. So that was a history of Rabbi Yaakov Elisha. And as I said before, he would, if I'm not mistaken, we said he would get married to the daughter of Reb Yaakov Vilna. That's where the connection to Reb Yaakov Vilna, according to a strong opinion, would actually come from. Now, let's talk about, we said that he would have Rabbi Yehorucham as a son. His grandson now will be Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha. Really, really great rabbi, obviously some of the famous Rishon LeZions of Israel. Let's speak about bits within regards to him. It's reported that he was born in Tzfat in the year 1817. He was born. He was, sadly, I think, only 7 years of age. He was orphaned from his father, Rabbi Eliezer Yerucham Elisha. And it's reported that his mother would later on get married to Rabbi Benjamin Mordechai Navon, who has become a great rabbi in Palestine. It's reported over. So that would be his stepfather. And later on, he would get married. I think it would come with the year 1832, Rabbi Yaakov Elisha would. He would become ordained as a judge and a teacher by the rabbis of Jerusalem. And I think later on, around the year 1869, if I'm not mistaken, he would become the head of Jewish court in the city. Now, after Rabbi Raphael Meir Paniziel, who was a famous Shluchei Rabbanan and a great rabbi with some Rishon LeZion, I believe, he also happened to be between the years 8. He would become a chief rabbi of Israel, Rishon LeZion, a very, very prominent position, a position he would take on for a staggering 13 years, that would be. And a brilliant, brilliant accolade that would be for him, and very much so. I think actually he was, if I'm not mistaken, the 29th Rishon LeZion, chief rabbi of Israel. He would actually be followed on by Rabbi Yaakov Meir at a later stage, so we can just say more within regards to him. His family life, Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha. He would have various children, including Sultana. I think she would get married to Rabbi Avram Baruch, and their daughter, Rosa, Rabbinic Rosa, would get married to Rabbi Ben Zion Meir Chai Uziel, one of the famous rabbis. Also another one, Rabbi Chaim Moshe Elisha will be his son, become a Rishon LeZion, who we're going to speak about in a minute. He and Rabbi Eliezer Yerucham, I think sadly passed away young. Rabbi Nissen bin Binyamin Mordechai Elisha, I think was named after his father's stepfather, if I'm not mistaken. I think Rav Frumkin in his chronicles actually write about him extensively. It's reported that he was buried in Har HaZeitim, the Mount of Olives cemetery, the rabbinical plot over there. I think next to his stepfather, if I'm not mistaken, over there. So that's very interesting. Yeah, so then, okay, let's continue. Now, he had a son called Rabbi Chaim Moshe Elisha. He was born, I believe, in the English year 1845. We actually did a video on him quite recently. He was the eldest son of Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha, and he got married to Rabbi Bida, I believe, the daughter of Rabbi Raphael Meir Panizia, who we spoke about just beforehand. He was Rishon LeZion. They would have 6 sons and 3 daughters. He would also work in a trade, I believe, while studying Torah, and who would answer many, many different halachic questions all across the world. I think when his father was appointed to Rishon LeZion in 1893, he was appointed a representative and a deputy, if I'm not mistaken, of the regional council, and worked there 13 years. He was one of the founders of public institutions, including Shari Tzedek Hospital and Ledach hospitals, also respectively. He would head the chief rabbinate of Jerusalem for many years, and would take on various other roles also. He was Assembly of Deputies. I think he published his father's various responses also. He would serve, I believe, for a 2-year period, if I'm not mistaken, as a chief rabbi in Israel. He was a Rishon LeZion in Israel, a very, very prominent position. If I'm not mistaken, he was the 35th Rishon LeZion. This was between the years 1919 to 1921. So you can see, adding to the mantelpiece of greatness of making it really now a prominent rabbinic family, you could say, over there. He would compose various different Torah colossal works. Rabbi Chaim Moshe would, at different points in time. I think among his Torah colossal works, he would include the Moshe Ha'ish, which is a Shelot Shuvot, question and answers book, and also it was manuscript form, I think. He passed away on the 4th of Shvat, Tafresh Pei Daled, if I'm not mistaken. He was a very, very great rabbi of his time. I think, to be precise, I believe, to give you the exact English, I think passed away in the year 1924, 101 years ago, here, approximately from the time of recording. That was another great rabbi, part of the family. So we've spoken already about Rabbi Yosef Shaul. Then there was also another Rabbi Yosef Shaul Elisha, who we haven't mentioned about yet. He would be born in 1867 and pass away in 1948. Once again, another rabbi in the rabbinic dynasty of himself. He was the son of Rabbi Chaim Moshe Elisha. Who was he? He had various different prominent roles also, which we have to point out, various different great roles. He was part of the rabbinic dynasty, rabbinic Sephardic community. He was one of the founders of Zichron Moshe neighborhood. He purchased lands in various places, including the Yarkon area in Tel Aviv, Kiryat Shaul, I think, and Hadar Yosef, many different areas in of itself. And obviously he was educated in various yeshivot, and he would get married to Rabbinit Rika, who was a granddaughter, if I'm not mistaken, of Rabbi Chaim Nissim Baruch, another great rabbi, great businessman, and a man of the Sfardi community in his day. He was one of the founders of Zichron Moshe. He was part of the municipality along with David Yelin. He was a city governor, I believe. He was responsible for the Arab Orphans Fund also. And he would serve as a member of the Sephardic community along with David Papo, Rabbi Avram Bijajo, I believe, Rabbi Hanani Gabriel, many different people. Rabbi Shlomo Laniado over here. And he lived very much at the time period of the First World War and Second World War, taking on various different opinions. He was chairman of the Chevra Kedisha also, and was member of the Jewish City Committee and representative for various different important Jewish roles in Israel at that point in time. Now it's interesting. He would have a brother called Yitzchak Shemaya Elisha. So Rav Moshe would have a son also of the name. Not he wasn't a rabbi. I think he was another important, prominent Jerusalem figure. Yitzchak Shemaya Elisha, another man we spoke about. He was a delegate of First and Second Assemblies, a representative of Sephardic community in Jerusalem. He had various presidential roles also. He passed away in 1933. He was born in, I believe, the year 1872 also. He was around very much at the time period of the First World War. I think there's a street named after him, if I'm not mistaken. Robert Yitzhak Shaul Elisha, and many other commemorations within regards to him. So it's actually interesting. I think one of them was actually the Kiryat Givat Shaul neighborhood will actually be named after him, if I'm not mistaken. I think maybe after Yosef Shaul Elisha. So you can see really they make a huge imprint, this family does. In very much in modern Jewish history. Now, we've got a couple more minutes just to add on a few more information in regards to the famous family. Who else was there inside the family? There was other notable people who we have to mention about. There was also someone named Elazar Elisha. Now he wasn't a rabbi per se. He was a deputy of. He had various different prominent positions or activist positions in Israel. He was a man of the congregation over there. He would eventually be buried in Har Menachot. He passed away in 1955. Among his, let's just say, his famousnesses, he actually would learn, I think, in the yeshiva of his grandfather, Rabbi Chaim Moshe Elisha. He would study in a business school. He would travel to France. He was working in commerce, respectively. He was part of the banking industry also. And he was one of the founders of Lev HaCarmel Hotel also. So he was another prominent figure. Also, there was Menashe Elisha, who was another famous man who was a tradesman between the years 1951 to 1985. He was part of the Yakir Yerushalayim. Yechiel Elisha, another descendant of his, was famous architect of buildings and a real estater in Israel also. And Victor Elisha, another diplomat of Israel, at later stage in time. So it was a famous family, rabbinic family to a big degree, activist family and business family, really famous people that will really, let's just say, make their imprint in among definitely modern Israeli Jewry and the state of Israel and Eretz Israel in itself. So hope this was informative. Wishing you all a fantastic day and subscribe.